Giving Back, sponsored by Patterson Legal Group.
We're excited to partner with Patterson Legal Group in our latest edition of Giving Back, where local nonprofits are recognized for the great work they're doing to make our communities better places to live. Patterson Legal Group recognizes a new nonprofit and presents them with a $500 check. This week, we're proud to spotlight the Lecompton Historical Society. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Tyler from Patterson Legal Group. This week's Giving Back recipient is the Lecompton Historical Society. We're here with a group of characters from the society. Paul, tell us a little bit about the group.
This group is Tim Ruis, Suzanne Gurmis, and Steve Gurmis. We're part of the Lecompton Reenactors, and you know, Lecompton has played a major role in United States history. And you know, Kansas is the birthplace of the Civil War. It's not South Carolina, or Bleeding Kansas caused the earthquake that shook America. And Kansas has a great opportunity to promote our history if we will just do it and give travel and tourism enough money to do it.
Well, we're so grateful for what you guys do and the stories you tell. We're excited to give you a check today for $500.
We really appreciate this very much.
Of course.
Very generous.
And joining us now is Paul Baumeier with Territorial Capitol Museum and Lane University, better known as Lecompton Historical Society. Good morning.
Good morning.
Pleasure to have you on the show. It's such an interesting thing how we have the Lecompton Historical Society, and there's a lot of history here, and from Kansas and what's happened in the Civil War, but a lot of people don't seem to know too much about it. And you have this museum here that offers so much information, so much fascinating stuff about our history that it's so easy to learn.
Well, I'll just give you a brief history.
Please.
Lecompton was founded in 1854. It was originally called Bald Eagle, but when they thought it was going to be the capital, they didn't think that was a dignified enough name for the capital of Kansas, so they named it after Territorial Judge Lecompton. It was designated the territorial capital, and at that time, then Sheriff Jones built the Constitution Hall. Constitution Hall is a national landmark and a Kansas State Historic Site, and the Lecompton Constitution that was passed there went back to Washington to the Congress. It passed the United States Senate 33-25, was strongly endorsed by President Buchanan, but failed in the House 120-112. So what it says is Kansas failed to come into the Union as a slave state with Lecompton capital by 8 votes. But in the House, they got into a physical fight over the Lecompton Constitution.
Amazing.
And it didn't end until the congressman from Wisconsin pulled the wig off of the congressman from Mississippi, held it up in the air and yelled out, "Look, I've scalped him."
Wow.
But the major story is the result of this, it split the National Democratic Party. So in 1860, when Lincoln ran for president, there were 4 candidates. Stephen Douglas is a Northern Democrat, John Breckinridge is a Southern Democrat, John Bell is a conservative Whig, and Lincoln won with just 39% of the vote. So it can very easily be said, without the fight in Washington over the Lecompton Constitution that split the Democratic Party, Lincoln might not have been elected president. And we've had various sources tell us just exactly that. The New York Times came out and did a story on our Lincoln connection, and they talked to Jonathan Earl, a history professor at KU, and he said Lincoln would not be president except for the Lecompton Constitution. And the vice president of the Confederacy in his memoirs states that it was the mission of Kansas under the Lecompton Constitution. A disastrous split took place in the
It's
Democratic Party.
It's so fascinating. And again, there's this huge piece of history right in our backyard. It's wonderful what you guys have over there at the museum. I want to talk a little bit about, you know, what's all going on in Lecompton, especially with the Lecompton Historical Society. You know, what can people learn more about and see there?
Well, one of the things you can come and see is that this is why Kansans don't know about it. It's a national story. In 1858, Congress, they elected 8 people to Congress, 2 from New Jersey, 3 from New York, 2 from Pennsylvania, 1 from under the People's Anti-Democratic Lecompton Party. 8 people elected using the name Lecompton. But it gets even more interesting. In that same year, the Lecompton Democrats who were in California elected the governor of California. Now stop and think. This little town in northeast Kansas had not 1, not 2, but 2 political parties named after it. and you tell me why nobody knows about it.
Exactly. It really is. It's crazy, but and that's why I love what's going on over here. And so, how can the donation from Patterson Legal Group kind of able to help you guys, keep the message going?
Well, I think that allows us the opportunity to do more promotion and keep the lights on.
Of course. I want to talk about kind of your role over there a little bit. What's it mean for you to be a part of the Lecompton Historical Society and to offer this chance to teach people about the history?
Well, we are basically a volunteer organization, and we all volunteer and help promote our history, but it's Kansas history and it's national history.
Yeah, it really is. It's so fascinating. Being such a huge fan of history, I have to get down to the museum and learn even more now. And so, tell us some of these items you have here. What do we have that you can actually see the museum? I see some cannonballs.
This is a cannonball and something that were found at Camp Second, which was an Army military camp. This is a slug that was dug out of a tree outside of the Territorial Capitol Museum that apparently was shot in the 1850s.
Wow.
And then these are all buttons. This is a button from the Virginia military in 1850s, and this is a button that was found from the South Carolina, all found in Lecompton. And there's just lots of things. One of the things we sometimes don't mention is that President Eisenhower's parents were married in Lecompton. Her parents died in Virginia, and she came to Topeka to live with some Stovers, and she came down in the fall of '84, and he came down in the fall of, and then they were married upstairs in the fall of '85.
Amazing. Lecompton is so rich with history. It's such a fascinating and just really awesome town that's going on over there. And I also, the holidays is probably one of your most popular times of the year with the Christmas trees. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in Christmas time.
Beginning November 1 through December, we have nearly 200 Victorian antique and Christmas trees and ornaments. And one of the most unique is the feather tree that is made out of goose feathers that's 100 years old, and we have several of those. So if you want to live your Christmas past, you're certainly welcome to come to Lecompton during that time.
Oh, 100%. I saw you brought some of the candle ornaments as well that we see on Christmas trees, which I always think were really cool. It's such a nice visual having candles on your Christmas tree. Of course, it's almost a little too dangerous nowadays.
Well, this is one of the ways they could light candles. They could put a candle in here and then weave it on a limb, and that would extend it from the tree. Or this is weighted, and you could put a candle there, and because it's weighted on a real tree, it would pull it away from the limb. So it's just one of the many unique things that we have for Christmas for people to come and see. It's
so cool. It's such a little slice of time that you guys have over in Lecompton, seeing the antique, trees and just experiencing the museum and the history. It really is. It's so wonderful. And how can other people help you guys out? Like, are you looking for, I guess, volunteers or donations are always helpful?
Well, we can always use volunteers. We can always use donations.
What kind of volunteer positions would there be?
Tour guides? Tour guides, yes.
Of course.
Would be the main thing.
They'll have to match your knowledge.
Well, anybody can do that.
Well, definitely there's so much to learn. So it's such a fascinating area. Do you have a message out there for the people that come down to see Lecompton? What are they missing not going over there?
Kansans need to realize that Kansas is the birthplace of the Civil War, and it's not South Carolina, because 100 people were killed in Kansas prior. And if you don't want to say that, then you can say Bleeding Kansas caused the earthquake that shook America. And we need to support our Kansas travel and tourism because they can promote our state. Because you look at the South and how much money they make off of their Civil War history, or the East Coast of the Revolution. Kansas can make a lot of money by promoting its Civil War history, and just as like I said to you, nobody knows about it.
Exactly. I couldn't put it better myself. Well, Paul, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you and learning more about the Lecompton area.
Thank you, and thank you to Patterson's for making their nice donation to keep us going.
Of course. Of course, everybody, if you want to learn more, head on over to lecomptonkansas.com.
Giving Back, sponsored by Patterson Legal Group.